We live in a world that certain things are not PC. Like saying the word evil, oh, can't say that. Right?
Evil doesn't exist.
You can't say evil because that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. Right? And you're being judgmental. Now, the truth is, if you call somebody evil, well, you are being judgmental. But is there anything that's evil? Or not? So, for some people, there isn't. Evil is, your opinion. But my opinion might be different. Of course, what I do is perfect. What you do, oh, that's a different story. That might be for some people. Others, they know there's evil inside, there's negativity, and you got to own your stuff rather than, own your stuff rather than stuff. Face your stuff rather than face your stuff rather than stuff your face.
You're doing Tanya. Okay.
And that's a challenge. Because that means we have to work on ourselves. But that's why we're here. Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Because we're all on the same journey. We're all on the same journey. And learning Tanya, B-I-T, a Bainani in training. Meaning we're in training for that. Meaning we're not that. Welcome to chapter 11. Now, for some people, chapter 11 means, what does it mean? When you file chapter 11, it's an American thing, not Canadian. Bankruptcy. To file chapter 11. Now, oddly enough, or divinely orchestrated, chapter 11 follows chapter 10. Chapter 10, we spoke about the righteous. Chapter 11, we speak about the wicked, evil person. But don't file bankruptcy on such a person. You'll see why soon. So, God creates one opposite the other. We spoke about the righteous, 2 levels of the righteous. Well, guess what? The Rasha, the wicked, evil individual, which we're just going to call a Rasha right now. Okay? Just to be more PC, because I think people might cringe if we call it an evil person, a wicked person. Might not be so comfortable. And, we don't want any of us to give up on ourselves. Because, folks, welcome to what might be our description. Okay? Now, might be. Hopefully now what we're describing will be, and not the second level of the wicked. So the Rasha, just like you have the righteous that knows evil, meaning there is some negativity in them that has not been transformed deep down. Likewise, by the Rasha, you have also the one that knows evil, and which means that the evil of the animal's soul, the klipa, in the left part of the heart has not become subservient to the godly soul. The opposite. The godly soul is being subservient to the animal soul. And in that there's various degrees. Various degrees. So we're going to start off with the lightest degree of what it means that the animal soul is in control. And therefore called a rasha. Therefore called wicked. Right? In a minor way, not in a permanent or even a recurrent, only recurs in infrequent intervals, right? Meaning that the evil prevails over the good, which means conquering, in the metaphor in chapter 9, the small city, the body of the person, right? And even in that conquering, it's not a complete conquering, right? Not every part of the body is being conquered, only a part of it. What does that mean metaphorically? It means that you can have an individual who the animal soul prevails only in action, right? In the actions of the person. Some others, it might be just in speech, like on what's called avak lashon hara, which is on the border of slander, not literally saying something negative, but it's on the border, right? And others, it might be just in their thought, in their contemplation alone, that they engage in a sinful thought, right? Not that you actually do the sin, but you contemplate the sin, right? You contemplate it, you give, right? Like having a negative thought of a relationship, even a permitted relationship, but you had the thought of the relationship. It's not the time to think about it. You have that thought, then can lead to, or it could be just wasting some time. And all of this might not even be all the time. Just, once a month you waste time. Right? Yet this person is called a rasha. Once a month they waste time. Once a month they may have a negative thought. Once a month, you may once a month you may say something slanderous, bordering on slander. Imagine, once a month. And you're still called a rasha. Why? Because the negativity, the evil of the animal soul has prevailed, expressing itself in the body and bringing you to actual sin. Right? Mm-hmm. It defiles you. There's a stain on you, right? There's a stain. By way of example, you stain your beautiful, nice new shirt. So what is it? Until you clean it. I'm not talking about you cleaned it, but till you cleaned it, what is it? Is it only a stained shirt when you stained it? Or a month later, is it still stained? A month later, it's still stained. Right? Until you clean it, it's still stained. Correct? So it's stained. Right? So therefore, until it's dealt with, the person's got a stain, meaning sin, upon their soul, and therefore that gives a title of being a rasha. Even though it may only happen once a month. Right? Still. Right?
Something more like the bedroom, at least.
No. Well, let's learn. We'll see. Not. It's not. It's not. Right. Now, what's going to happen with such a person after once a month? I'm giving this by way of example. Right? Once a month, does something wrong. What will happen after doing something wrong?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Once a month doing something wrong?
Yeah. It's going to be full of remorse for doing what's wrong.
What?
When a person is always doing good, always doing right,
Mhm.
but once a month, again, just by way of example, once a month, once a week, once every 2 months, whatever it is, right? So the good in the divine soul will assert itself, and you will feel with remorse for what you did. All right?
Because he knows difference.
And you're going to seek pardon and forgiveness from Hashem for the transgression that you did. And with appropriate penitence, as our sages say, God will for sure forgive you, right? No question about that. There's no question about that, right? No question about that. Yet, this person will still be called a Rasha, because next month he'll do something else wrong. Right? Have remorse, own it, deal with it, and then the following month he'll also do again, month, week, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
It's still in the category of Rasha, because Rasha means you've done wrong and there's a stain on your soul. You had remorse afterwards and you've dealt with it, but there is a constant stain. That's called a Rasha. Now, this is a higher level of Rasha, right? A very refined level of Rasha that they do once a month something wrong. And they don't do it. It's not their entire being involved in what they did wrong. It came out a slanderous term, right? A thought just entered and then engaged in, in a negative thought, right? And got rid of it, but there was some time engagement, right? Or, again, then you have a lesser where the person, their whole thoughts are in their negative thought about that person. And because they had that negative thought, now they went and said something really negative to that person. And they even went and did something in action against that person, right? As they were not like the more refined Rasha. This is a person who's now, fully, okay, that person crossed me. They said something negative. I'm going to do whatever, right? In other words, all three garments of the soul are now engaged. They're engaged in doing evil. And this person may do it more often than just once a month. Maybe even, right, once every other day. Whatever the case may be. What's going to happen with this person after doing the evil? He's also going to have remorse. Also, because we're talking about someone who's got a divine soul. The divine soul is going to express it. We're talking about this level of a Rasha, right? That there is, some, juxtaposed to the Tovloi, right? That's juxtaposed Rasha v'Tovloi, that there's good. So the good's there, right? And that good, though, sometimes doesn't win the battle. But because there's a constant stain, therefore it's a Rasha, and this person has remorse because of the good. In the moment of feeling, hey, that's not nice what you did to me, right? So you think, speak, and act inappropriately, and you don't have the strength to overcome it, but afterwards you have remorse. And actually our sages say in the Talmud that Rishoyim Maleim Charates, that the wicked, the Rasha, they're full of regret. always regretting, right? In other words, we have remorse. We do something wrong, and afterwards we have remorse. And we own it. But it's a constant. And therefore, that's still called the Rasha. Why? You're not Attila the Hun. We'll get to Attila the Hun. Right? You're not terrible. As a matter of fact, it sounds like, whoa, some of this might be, so be it that we should be that, right? Only once a month. Okay, this person is more often, and it's not more often in how often engaged in doing something sinful, but it's more engaged of the person in all garments of the soul, thought, speech, and action, right? Whereas the more refined Rasha, something just kind of came out. Didn't think it through, just, expressed, or just the thought was there and, but this is a much more, but yet this is a Rasha v'toivlo, there's still good there. What's the good? Because there's remorse. After what you did, you feel, and you own it, you feel bad about it, right? Says the Alter Rebbe, this represents the majority of people. Majority of people that are, right? In other words, wicked means that there's a stain on the soul. There's evil on the soul. And it's constantly being dealt with, but we're not strong enough that we deal with it in such a way that it goes away completely. Not strong enough. We're weak. And therefore the stain is there, the evil is there, and that's a definition of a Rasha. That's the majority of people. It still lingers, the negativity, but the good is there, and therefore we're full of remorse and regret for the things that we do. But then there is a lesser level, juxtaposed to the Rasha the tzaddik v'toivlai, the tzaddik, and it's completely good. Here it's a Rasha v'ralai, it's a completely bad. What's completely evil? Someone who's never contrite of heart. Whatever they do, they always have a justification for their behavior. We all know such people. And by the way, we are that people too. Because there are times we act inappropriately in thought, speech, and action, and we justify ourselves in our minds or to others, and we justify. Now, I would suggest that we don't do it, all the time, but we do it sometimes. We're not contrite of heart. We don't own our stuff, and we rationalize it away, right? We rationalize it away, and therefore what do? We don't do tshuva. We don't repent because we don't have remorse for it, right? Think about all the times that we waste time, and listen, can't always do good. We have a rationalization for ourselves, right? Concludes the Alter Rebbe chapter 11 with this individual. And says that this individual, right, they still have good, but how's the good? Makif. It hovers them. It's not something that good of their divine soul that's affecting them. Because the good in our divine soul will affect us that we own our stuff and we have remorse for it. But when we don't, the good's there because we have a divine soul, but it's not having an effect on our lives. Therefore, it's called what we call makif. It's surrounding us. It's over us, but not in us in a way that it is affecting us. And therefore, such a person, such a fellow Jew, can still be counted in the minyan. You might think, such a person. No. If you have a gathering of 10 Jews, the Shekhinah still rests upon them because it's resting over them but it's not internalized within them. And that's expressed by the fact that they don't own their stuff. Always justifying their behavior. Well, he made me do it. I wouldn't have done it if she didn't say that. So you're always deflecting. Well, that person didn't do what they did. I wouldn't have done what I did, meaning justifying the behavior. That's not kosher.
Davida had a very good question, which I was about to ask as well. So
okay, let's. I see Elise's question. So basically, everyone is a Rasha. So the good news is, Elise, as we're gonna soon see, the good news is, you know who we are? We're BITs. We're Beinoni in training. That's the good news. That's we're training. What are we training for? We'll see soon. Brett, but Elise, so that's a sober reality. If the designation of an evil is assigned to nearly everyone, does it dilute the meaning of evil? No. It strengthens the word evil. I have negativity in me. I have evil in me that I have to own and deal with, and to recognize that. It doesn't dilute it. It just makes it more, real, if you will. And by the way, it's really a beautiful thing, because then I don't have to look at someone else's evil. I can know that I have enough that I have to deal with, and stop looking at someone else and say, oh, well, compared to him, I'm a tzaddik. I'm righteous. No, we're not. Because we all want to feel good about ourselves. So that's what Tanya is not here. Tanya is not a feel-good teachings. It is a be good teachings, not a feel good. You want to feel good? Go somewhere else. Go have some comfort food. You'll feel good. Go binge on some Netflix, and you'll feel good. But you won't be good. You'll stay here. You'll be good. At least you'll be better. For sure, you'll be better. Joseph, how do you explain the concept of the devil? The devil. That's the Yetzer Hara. That's the evil inclination in me. That's my devil. The evil inclination in me wants me to, right, not own my stuff, and just to always have a rationalization for my behavior, right? Life after death, well, that's not a question right now, so not going to deal with that now. Yeah, so by the way, we're all in good company.
Thank God.
Our stains completely removed after one leaves this world, chas v'sholom, after 120, when we stand before the Holy Court to be judged, or is the stain still lingers? Well, very good question, Davida. So definitely death is part of the atonement process, but usually not sufficient. Death is not sufficient for cleansing. It's part of cleansing, but it's not sufficient. That's why the cleansing a soul will have to go through is 11 months. That's why 11 months is the most that we say Kaddish for 11 months to help the soul, because the most we say it needs is 11 months. As we're not that evil, that we need more than that. But it could be that we need much less than that. But whatever it is that we need, death is a part of an atonement process. Gehenna, kafakella, things that we mentioned earlier, if you remember in chapter 8, chapter 7, chapter 8, we spoke about it. So that's part of the process that's necessary for the soul to go through. And of course, we help those departed souls by the good that we do down here, like the Kaddish and so on. Okay, I hope that helps. I have another question here. How do we define the difference between a Rasha and the truly wicked person? What do you mean, Attila the Hun? How do you... So, again, most of us are going to be in the category I think all of us here will be, we're full of remorse, right? And that is a sign of, someone who is working on themselves, trying to better themselves, and that's, for the most part, who we are. Against the truly evil person is someone who has no remorse, right? Like you have that, by the way, on a psychological level of what's it called? Forgot the term now. There's a term for it. The psychotic person who has no
Antisocial, social.
who has no conscience, right? A person who has no conscience, right? Like Hamas, they have no conscience, right? They have no conscience. That's, thoroughly evil through and through. Even the level that we spoke about over here, the person doesn't own their stuff, yet the good in them hovers over them. With Hamas, I don't know if that's there at all. And if that's there at all.
Is it antisocial?
No, I said without a conscience. No. A sociopath, that's what it's called. Sociopath, but it means without a conscience, not antisocial, right? A psychopath is different than someone who is a narcissist. A narcissist won't own their stuff, and they'll always deflect. A psychopath is much more deeper. Okay. I think we dealt with Brett and